In 1901, Manhattan faced frequent wet conditions, with streets often flooded after heavy rain. These challenges shaped daily life, transportation, and infrastructure, as the city struggled to manage stormwater, revealing the early demands of urban planning in a growing metropolis. In 1915, Savannah experienced the unique character and atmosphere of the American South. The city's streets, architecture, and daily life reflected its historical heritage, capturing a moment in time that revealed both the charm and complexity of early 20th century Savannah. In 1900, Grand Central Terminal stood as a bustling hub in New York City. Commuters and travelers filled its platforms, while the station's architecture and operations reflected the rapid growth of rail travel and the demands of an expanding metropolis. In 1905, Manda existed as a distinct community, defined by its local activities and daily life. Its people navigated the social, economic, and environmental conditions of the time, reflecting the broader patterns of life in early 20th century settlements. In 1905, the Independent Presbyterian congregation maintained its place in the community, shaping spiritual life and social gatherings. Its members upheld traditions and religious practices, reflecting the role of faith in early 20th century society and the influence of local churches. In 1908, Oglethorpe Avenue served as a key connecting neighborhoods and supporting local commerce. Its streets reflected the patterns of daily life, transportation, and urban growth, offering a glimpse into the infrastructure and community dynamics of early 20th Savannah. Southern exposure captured the perspectives and experiences of the region, reflecting its culture, society, and environment. The work documented local life, offering insight into early 20th century Southern communities and the ways they navigated the social and natural landscapes of the time. In 1938, DCAC was active, reflecting the athletic and social pursuits of the community. Its members participated in organized activities and competitions, highlighting the role of sports clubs in fostering connection, discipline, and recreation during the late 1930s. In 1912, the New Raleigh documented the city's growth, changes, and daily life. Its pages reflected local events, culture, and society, providing a snapshot of urban development and community dynamics. During the early years of 20th century Raleigh, in 1911, the passenger portal served as an access point for travelers, facilitating movement and communication. It reflected the area's transportation infrastructure and the routines of daily travel, offering insight into early 20th century transit and the organization of passenger services. In 1921, the powerhouse operated as a critical facility, generating energy to support surrounding infrastructure and communities. Its presence reflected the growing reliance on electricity, industrial development, and the technological advances shaping daily life and urban growth. In the early 20th century, in 1943, Knight Rider was active, reflecting the social and cultural currents of the time. Its presence captured aspects of entertainment, mobility, or local life, offering insight into the experiences and routines of communities during the World War II era. In 1910, Bankshot emerged as part of the local scene, reflecting recreational or social activities of the time. Its presence highlights the ways communities engaged in leisure, skill-based games, and entertainment, offering a glimpse into early 20th century daily life. In 1911, the Belle Isle Bridge connected communities, facilitating travel, trade, and daily movement. Its construction and use reflected the area's infrastructure development, shaping transportation patterns and linking neighborhoods, while supporting the growth and modernization of the surrounding region. In 1927, Dentists reflected the practice of dental care and the role of health services in the community. It highlighted the routines, techniques, and social importance of oral hygiene during the late 1920s, offering insight into daily life and medical culture. In 1943, Hi Ho, Hi Ho captured the cultural mood of the era, reflecting entertainment, music, or performance popular during World War II. It offered audiences a glimpse into leisure, morale, and social life amid the challenges of the early 1940s. In March 1943, Charlotte, North Carolina, saw a gasoline truck making a delivery at a filling station, captured by John Vachin for the Office of War Information. The image documents wartime fuel distribution and everyday life on the home front. In March 1943, a beer wagon was stationed at the Charlotte Bowling Center on West 1st Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. photographed by John Vachin for the Office of War Information. The image captures local commerce and daily life during the wartime period. In March 1943, Jim Bishop and Joe Crow, drivers for the Associated Transport Company, ate dinner at a trucker's stop on U.S. Highway 29 near the Alabama-Georgia state line. John Vachin documented the scene for the Office of War Information. In March 1943, a Montgomery two-mobile truck refueled at 3 a.m. in Evergreen, Alabama, as part of a Baltimore to New Orleans route. With less than 100 miles remaining, John Vachin captured the scene for the Office of War Information. In March 1943, Charlotte, North Carolina, featured a bustling truck and warehouse district, including A&P and G&H facilities. John Vachin photographed the area for the Office of War Information, documenting the infrastructure and commercial activity that supported wartime logistics and urban life. In March 1943, a filling station on a highway near Charlotte, North Carolina, served travelers leaving town. John Vachin captured the scene for the Office of War Information, documenting the essential infrastructure and daily life of the region during the wartime period. In April 1943, in Detroit, Michigan, a section of a boiler rests on a flat car, captured in a 4x5-inch acetate negative. This final image, photographed by Arthur S. Siegel for the Office of War Information, documents wartime industrial activity. In April 1943, in Detroit, Michigan, a huge pipe section is loaded on a flat car, photographed on a 4x5-inch acetate negative by Arthur Siegel for the Office of War Information. This image captures a moment of wartime industrial logistics. In April 1943, in Detroit, Michigan, freight cars fill a rail yard seen from above, captured on a 4x5-inch acetate negative by Arthur Siegel for the Office of War Information. This image offers a clear view of wartime rail transport operations. In April 1943, in Detroit, U.S. Army amphibian jeeps wait to be loaded onto trucks, photographed by Arthur Siegel for the Office of War Information. This image documents the transportation of military equipment during World War II. In March 1943, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, men work on the firebox of an engine at the Atchison, Topeka and Santa Fe Railroad locomotive shops, captured on a medium-format acetate negative by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. This image records wartime industrial labor. Around 1912 in Boston, the public library at Copley Square stands prominently. Completed in 1888, its Roman numeral date uses 13 characters. The scene also includes the railway post office at left and a streetcar to Holyhood Cemetery at right, captured on an 8x10-inch dry plate negative. Around 1912 in Philadelphia, Broad Street stretches beneath the towering City Hall, with William Penn overlooking a profusion of hotels and theaters. This urban scene is preserved on an 8x10-inch glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. In 1906, the Mississippi River at Algiers Point, New Orleans, features the steamship Excelsior along the bustling riverfront. This panoramic view, composed from 4 8x10-inch glass negatives, was produced by the Detroit Publishing Company. Around 1910 in Memphis, Tennessee, the Shelby County Courthouse stands at Adams Avenue and 2nd Street. This historic building is captured on an 8x10-inch dry plate glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. Around 1913 in Manhattan, the suburban concourse and ramp of Grand Central Terminal, New York Central lines, are captured in a flash powder time exposure. Phantom commuters and ghostly pedestrians appear across the scene, recorded on an 8x10-inch glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. In 1914, Pearl Street from State Street in Albany, New York, is captured at street level, last documented here a decade earlier. This view is preserved on an 8x10-inch glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. Around 1914 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a group of skyscrapers rises along Fifth Avenue. This early cityscape is documented on an 8x10-inch dry plate glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. Around 1913 in Richmond, Virginia, the First National Bank rises 262 feet at 9th and Main Streets. This 19-story building, the city's first skyscraper, is captured on an 8x10-inch dry plate glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. Circa 1900 to 1910, a boy in an Erie baseball uniform stands by a fence. This portrait is preserved on a 6.5 by 8.5-inch dry plate glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. July 1955, at Camp Sunapee, New Hampshire, campers make popcorn on a rainy day at Pleasant Lake. This moment is captured in one of over 800 Kodachrome slides shot by Tony Frizzle for Sports Illustrated's Boys Camp assignment. In July 1955 at Little Lake Sunapee, New Hampshire, Art Brooks and a group of boys canoe across the water. This scene was captured on 35mm Kodachrome by Tony Frizzell for Sports Illustrated's Boys Camp assignment. In July 1955, at Camp Sunapee, New Hampshire, boys and their counselors gather outdoors. This scene was photographed on 35mm Kodachrome by Tony Frizzell for Sports Illustrated's Boys Camp assignment. In March 1943, in Kansas City, Missouri, the produce freight yard serves the Atchison, Topeka and Santa Fe Railroad. This industrial scene was captured on an acetate negative by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. In March 1943, in Kansas City, Kansas, the Argentine yard of the Santa Fe Railroad is shown at night, capturing the departure yard along the Atchison, Topeka and Santa Fe Railway, photographed on an acetate negative by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. In March 1943, in Fort Madison, Iowa, Mr. H.D. Tyers serves as yardmaster along the Topeka and Santa Fe Railroad. This portrait was captured by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. In February 1943, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, stores line West Central Avenue. This alternate view of the street corner was captured on an acetate negative by John Collier for the Office of War Information. Around 1911 in Detroit, the Frederick Stearns and Company Laboratory is seen from the southeast. This pharmaceutical plant and office building at Jefferson Avenue and Bellevue Street is captured on an 8 by 10-inch dry plate glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. Around 1912 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a group of skyscrapers rises along the skyline. Behind a young sapling, the Wabash Bridge spans the Monongahela River, with the 6th Street Bridge crossing the Allegheny in the distance. Captured on an 8 by 10-inch dry plate glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company. In February 1943, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the Hotel Franciscan stands on Central Avenue. This view was captured on a medium format acetate negative by John Collier for the Office of War Information. In March 1943, in Baltimore, Maryland, the Associated Transport Company trucking terminal operates with yard jockeys, driving trucks around the facility and backing them to loading platforms. This scene was captured on an acetate negative by John Vachin for the Office of War Information. In February 1943, in Madison, Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin hosts a farm short course, with students pictured in the school cafeteria. This scene was photographed by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. In February 1943, in Madison, Wisconsin, 18-year-old Robert A. Yanofsky attends a farm short course at the University of Wisconsin. He comes from a 64-acre farm, 5 acres cultivated, while his father works as an automobile mechanic in Chicago. Captured on an acetate negative by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. In March 1943, in Baltimore, Maryland, a truck loaded with explosives operates at the Associated Transport Trucking Terminal. This wartime scene was captured on an acetate negative by John Vachin for the Office of War Information. In March 1943, in Baltimore, Maryland, the truck service shop at the Associated Transport Company terminal is shown. This industrial scene was photographed by John Vachon for the Office of War Information. February 1943, in Delaware, truckers conversed outside a diner along US Highway 40. This moment was captured on an acetate negative by John Vachin for the Office of War Information. February 1943, at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, Jack McGrath of Ladysmith polishes the hooves of his horse for the livestock show at the Wisconsin Little International. This scene was photographed by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. In 1907, maintenance is carried out on the USS Potomac at 50 in Dry Dock No. 1 at League Island, Philadelphia Naval Yard. This scene is preserved on a 6.5 by 8.5 inch glass negative. In February 1943, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the intersection of Central Avenue and 4th Street is shown. This view was captured on an acetate negative by John Collier for the Office of War Information. In February 1943, in New York City, The Associated Transport Company trucking terminal on Washington Street is shown as goods are loaded onto a southbound transport. This scene was captured on a medium format acetate negative by John Vachin for the Office of War Information. February 1943. In Madison, Wisconsin, Gordon Swanstrom and Morrill Babcock of Burnett County attend the Farm Short Course at the University of Wisconsin. This scene was captured on a medium format acetate negative by Jack Delano for the Office of War Information. On October 21, 1914, in the Bronx, New York, across Austin and Island Lumber Co. truck is involved in an accident on the trolley tracks at East 138th Street and Southern now Bruckner Boulevard. Captured on an 8x10-inch glass negative. In March 1943, in Verona, New Jersey, workers saw the edge of an American flag at the Annin Flag Company. This scene was captured on an acetate negative by Marjorie Collins for the Office of War Information. In February 1943, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, photographs capture both the modern city and Old Town Albuquerque. At the time, Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt was showing at the Pueblo de Coquimbo on Route 66. Captured on an acetate negative by John Collier for the Office of War Information. March 1943, in Baltimore, Maryland, workers at the Davidson Transfer Company trucking terminal check the tires on truck tractors. This industrial scene was photographed by John Vactin for the Office of War Information. Around 1904 in Newbury, Massachusetts, a graduating class of nurses poses outside the main entrance of Anna Jaques Hospital. This group portrait is preserved on a 6.5 by 8.5 inch glass negative. In March 1943, in Baltimore, Maryland, a worker lubricates a truck tractor at the Davidson Transfer Company trucking terminal. This scene was captured on an acetate negative by John Vachin for the Office of War Information. Around 1910 in Detroit, the Dime Savings Bank branch stands at Woodward Avenue and Milwaukee Avenue, occupying a narrow building that also houses the offices of Dr. Moody and 4 colleagues. Captured on an 8x10-inch dry plate glass negative by the Detroit Publishing Company.